self-love, dating yourself. I don't really know how to start this one. I mean, from the title, you've already realized that the idea of today's episode is to more or less get to a point where you're dating yourself. And that is really to say that you are choosing yourself first before getting into a relationship. Roll the intro.
I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back, tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The phone and affection, I summon and dub it. Cause I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the...
Welcome back to another episode of the Problems on Problems podcast. I am your host, Mike Santi. And this week, we're talking about self-love. More so, self-love and the idea of dating yourself. And you can't hear those anymore because we changed the decibel levels out here. Gang, new stuff, new chair, who dis, improvements all around as I start to sweat on camera. This week, I mean, kind of to roll into self-love or self-dating, you kind of have to understand the idea of avoiding becoming codependent. And I don't want to mess this definition up because it's too important for y'all to like grasp this. So codependency is characterized by excessive emotional or psychological reliance on a partner. It's the idea of confusing sacrifice and caretaking for loyalty and love. And at least when it comes to Mike, I used to be codependent, but on the caretaker side of things, where I felt as though if you needed something from me, then you would stick around a little bit longer. We'll talk about childhood trauma at another time, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a therapist. You know this by now. If you don't, surprise, I'm not a therapist. So Mike's codependency came in the form of, other relationships in his last marriage and stuff like that, where like I would go out of my way to serve I go out of my way to serve basically, whether it be like to my own detriment or if it was like completely like inconvenient to me. I mean, duh, that's what to my own detriment means. I would go completely out of my way to help you, to make sure as though I felt as though you needed me. And obviously that's not the healthiest thing for a relationship, because as soon as that feeling goes away, people leave, rightly so. So, healthy boundaries kind of thing. I went through a lot of therapy for this. Did the whole bit, learned about the codependency, went to CODA, which is Codependence Anonymous, very much like a 12-step program to become a little bit more independent, a little bit less codependent. And it made me realize this one fact, which is not about today's episode or anything like that, but the idea that when someone doesn't need you and like wants you and chooses to have you in their life, it is significantly more attractive than that person that's like, oh, you're my other half, like I need you kind of thing. Mainly because of the fact that all those trigger ideas of codependency, that and why be in a relationship with someone that needs you? Better be in a relationship with someone who doesn't need you but continues to choose to like have you around and like want you around, at least in my opinion. So I say all that to say, date yourself. Take yourself out on the dates, put in all the effort that you would normally put into a significant other or another person that you're pursuing, and do it for yourself. Do it for you. Take yourself out on those dates. Buy yourself nice things. Go on those nice, fancy vacations that you always wanted to go on with someone else, but grab some friends, go instead. Clap your own cheeks. You know exactly what I mean. This is going to be a short career. Do the things that you would normally do for somebody else, but for yourself. So help yourself out. Be thoughtful when it comes to you. No one knows you better than you do. Awful grammar, but we're just going to keep rolling with it. So yeah, it's that idea. Date yourself. Get to the point where you're building a strong enough foundation where you are so in love with yourself, like 1,000% in love with yourself, because it'll start to filter out other people's surface level bullshit. Because you'll be able to you'll be able to call it out right away, because the more you love yourself, and it is corny, but there is like merit to this, but the more you love yourself, the higher your standards are for what you allow or what you tolerate in regards to people treating you X way or behaving certain ways towards you. You don't put up with as much stuff when you love yourself. And I think that's kind of one of those ideals that people kind of forget. And as soon as you start thinking as though people are taking advantage of you, which they most likely are, it's probably coming from the idea that you compromised somewhere along the line where they then thought they could treat you like that. Because if you loved yourself, you wouldn't let them do that shit. All that comes to like a stopping point when you do kind of, I guess, yeah, if you guys want to do this exercise or have like we'll call it a homework assignment. This isn't school. Don't do the homework. Just do it if you feel like it. But someone long ago, as if I've lived that long, someone long ago, post-divorce, post all that nonsense, told me, and this is literally the best advice that I could give to any single person, is they told me to make a list. And on that list, you are to write everything and anything you can think of that you want quality-wise in a significant other. Anywhere from physical attributes to the non-tangibles or intangibles. We're going to get there with words. English, You'd be surprised that it was my first language. I know. But the idea of the intangible objects, the characteristics, qualities, the core values, if you want to call it, of another person. And within that list, you will start finding characteristics that are, we're going to call them your non-negotiables. The things that are deal breakers to you, the things that are so core to who you are or what you want in somebody else that you're not willing to compromise on those things. And when you get to the core values, and I almost imagine this as like a ring, and at its center of this entire list are the core qualities that you want in a significant other. And then everything else outside of that just kind of is less important until you get to this like outer rim of surface level stuff, which is stuff that you're willing to compromise on. But at its core, you are then but you then give yourself this kind of this standard for what you want in a significant other. And that's not to say that like you got to find all this immediately, or that like some of these things might be flawed, who knows, but they're your personal things. But at its core, your core non-negotiables. I honestly don't think you should be dating anybody that doesn't meet those core things. And if you don't know what those core things are, then it's going to be a little bit tougher to select or be selective when it comes to a significant other. An example of one of my core values is that like a significant other of mine always has to be honest, even when uncomfortable, because, trust issues, things like that. They also have to be able to communicate their emotions they have to be able to communicate their emotions. I'm not setting a time limit on that or anything like that, but communication, honesty, things like that. Those are core to me, where if you don't have those things, or if you don't possess those things, or give me reason to not think that you are capable of those things, I'm not really going to pursue anything else, because there's no point. We're just wasting each other's time. Really, I'm wasting my own time entertaining you, knowing that like this isn't part of who you are. This isn't part of your character kind of thing. So that's not the entire homework assignment, and that's really just like phase one, but that's that entire list. Once you have that, which I don't think a lot of people do, especially younger people, I don't think a lot of people have that like that standard to set up against when thinking about significant others. But the big part of this is that once you have that list and your core values, and you understand like the picture of who you want, you then have to ask yourself, is who I am attractive to that perfect person right now? And if the answer is no, then yeah, you got stuff to work on. And a lot of it could be in the form of loving yourself or working on yourself and growing, but that's okay, because I guess if there is a lesson to learn from this, it would be love yourself first, because you attract who you are, not who you want. Okay? Think about that. But yeah, date yourself. Do it. Love yourself. Focus on you first. Eventually, yeah, some of you guys are going to swing into the opposite direction of being like completely like stepped on to completely selfish, but eventually you'll come back to middle ground kind of thing. But yeah, definitely focus on yourself first. We're going to take a break. We'll come back It's definitely going to be a shorter episode this week. I say that. I have no clue. But yeah, we'll take a break. We'll do the P.O.P thing, and then we'll come back and do the wrap-up.
P.O.P. Hold it down.
And we're back. That's a lie. I didn't move. I didn't move at all. I'm not a fraud. Honesty. Remember that thing? Me neither. But we start with the great debate. Last week, or in last week's episode, the debate was, which is more important to decorate in regards to your living space? Is it not? That's not true. Which is more important to decorate, your living room or your bedroom? We talked about a lot of style ideas or tips and stuff like that. And 88% of you said that the living room was the more important thing to decorate. I would love to know why. So if you want to slide on into those DMs, I mean, here's a perfect time, or comments, here's a perfect time to do it. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to this page. Also, hit me up at MikeSanti18 on all social medias, or at Problems of Problems Podcast on Instagram. But yeah, let me know why. I think I have an idea why. If it's me, not that many people are going to see. They're not going to see your bedroom. All right. Your bedroom is not a public place that should be kind of reserved off to just you. So I think you can kind of get away with doing less in there. And I mean, legitimately, if you look at my bedroom, yes, the lights are distracting, or they're a nice touch, whatever you want to call it. It's artwork, blah, 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 blah. But it's for me. Like, it's not for anybody else kind of thing, where I feel as though your living space is more for other people, or more so to make other people comfortable in your living space by also expressing your personality. So yeah, 88% of you said living room it is. This week, because we're talking about self-love and dating ourselves, dating yourself, dating myself, dating oneself, the question that I pose to you is, can you properly love someone else before loving yourself? It's very vague for a reason. Let me know what you guys think. Holla at the polls on the stories. Hit me up in the comments and in the DMs, and we'll talk about it. We'll get to cracking. I hate myself for that. But yeah, I mean, in my opinion, if you haven't watched anything of this episode so far, in my opinion, I think it's one of those things where, no, I don't think you can properly love someone else without loving yourself, because it's all just a shell. And I say that because if you don't love yourself, you are willing to compromise a lot of things, and you're willing to, now, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to grow and change and stuff like that, but if you are completely changing who you are to accommodate another human being, then that person's not for you. There's been plenty of comedy skits and like TikToks and all this other stuff and memes where there's plenty of things out there that kind of, I guess, so it's the internet. Anything can support your ideas if you look long enough. But if you're if you don't love who you are, then you are willing to change and completely become a different person to accommodate somebody else. And in reality, not only do I have a problem with that person for allowing you to change, or to like making you change into something that you're not, but I also have a problem with you, the individual, because at the end of the day, you should be, honestly, yeah, unpopular opinion, I think your significant other should complement your life, as long, given the caveat that your current life is the life that you want. Now, of course, you can like work towards other things and improve and grow and stuff like that. But at its core, the life that you live is the one that makes you happy, and the one that you work towards, like happiness and stuff like that, and you're actively doing these things. I think your significant other should complement that and not disrupt that completely or completely change it. It is that age-old idea that you're one person when you're with your friends and another person with your significant other. And I think there's some merit to that, but the generality of being two completely different people is only going to lead to like more frustration, more confusion, stuff like that. I say all that to say, if your significant other is trying to change who you are completely, then they don't actually love you. They love the idea of you that they've created in their minds. And to that, I say goodbye. Nice knowing you. Don't waste your time kind of thing. Because as long as you are loving yourself and love who you are, it's going to make it a lot harder for people to change you, manipulate you, however it is, but it's also going to allow you to have that stronger filter / stronger standards for what you'll accept or what you'll compromise on when it comes to being in relationships. That being said, we're going to talk about the Friday Follows geniuses. But yes, in my opinion, the queen of self-love, the person who most, at least in 2020, has kind of embodied the idea of focusing inward or looking inward to then become this to then have this rock solid foundation. The person that I think embodies that the most when it comes to 2020 is none other than Katie Levins and her brainchild. And I'm so happy that she has this going on, is at Shop Ruthie. This, I know it's been in the works for a bit, and I think honestly it's pretty interesting being able to see like the behind the scenes, if you want to call it that, the stories where she's working with logos or making different orders. But what you guys need to know about Ruthie is it is giving old things new life through customized, vintage, secondhand, and salvage goods. You'll see, if you go to @ShopRuthie on Instagram, you'll see a lot of jewelry, sweaters, jackets, things that were once kind of old and thrown away, given new life and repurposed and kind of refreshed into something new. Plus, it's helping save the planet. I know, crazy coming from the guy that sometimes forgets to recycle, but this is, I think, a little bit more sustainable in the sense that it's the whole thing behind thrifting, where you're not adding to the existing population of clothes. You're just kind of repurposing or reusing something that someone no longer sees use for. So make sure you guys go follow @ShopRuthie on Instagram. And of course, couldn't really focus on self-love without His and Hers Creatives, offering you photography, event coordination, and print / media design. What better way to love yourself than to get some photos of yourself done, make some events for yourself, design things, like focus on you, but with the help of others. All right. So make sure you go follow them at His and Hers Creatives. That's basically it. Yeah, we can wrap this thing up. We can send this thing home. I'm happy with this one. But yes, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All that good stuff down here. If you're going to subscribe, click the notification bell so you know when I post videos. I post videos every Friday. Not surprising. But yes, also make sure you guys go follow Problems on Problems podcast on Instagram, @problems_pod on Twitter. Make sure you go follow your boy @MikeSanti18 on all social media, guys. And like I always say, if it's not a good time, hope it's a good story. And I will see you next week.
On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up. Pray up. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. On track, now we gon' way up. Now we gon' way up. Now we going. Keep the same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, just a 7 seas.